Hello, Craig Birch here with another episode, your weekly darts bulletin around the board here at Tungsten Tales, where we're going to talk about all the things that have happened in the BDO and the PDC over the last 7 days, what's gone on in the week past and what's going to go on in the week ahead. And there's plenty of darts to talk about and big news on and off the hockey for us to get stuck straight into. And let's talk about the PDC World Championship. Big news from the PDC today. The PDC have called it the biggest thing to happen to their World Championship since they moved to Ali Pali all those years ago. The field has been widened, the pots have got bigger. This is a big news for the PDC World Championship, and it's all broke just a few hours ago actually. So let's go through what will change with this year's PDC World Championship. Everybody always asks about the money. That's the first thing the players will have looked at. 2.5 million is now the prize pot for the PDC World Championship, and the world champion for next year will walk off with a cool £500,000. That's the winner's check now for the PDC World Championship. That's big money. Didn't seem like long ago it was just 100 grand, did it? But it's increased fivefold. That's certainly inflation for you. And PDC, but it's not just that as well. The field, there will no longer be the 72 entrants either. There will now be 96 players that will make up the PDC World Championship. The only other event that I can think of that has 96 players without factoring in those who are not actually involved with the PDC is the UK Open, so it's going to be a big field this year. And let's talk through some of the headline things, how this will change the PDC World Championship. 72 players going into 96 players, of course, means a lot more darts. So let's go through exactly where are they going to find the other 24 players from. There will be a group of international qualifiers who will make up those extra 24 players. So expect to see some other players. We already see players from all over the world, but imagine you're going to see some real new faces. And among those new faces will be 2 ladies qualifiers as well. So the PDC, often criticised in some circles for not doing enough for the ladies' part of the darts game, they're going to actively have women involved in their next World Championship. Could it be a precursor to the ladies having their own World Championship like the BDO do? We will find out in the coming years, but certainly that is a step in the right direction, isn't it? 6 more sessions of darts you can look forward to. We can barely find the time over Christmas to fit in all the darts that there is, but you'll get 6 more sessions out of the PDC World Championship this year, and Sky will be happy. It's 30% more darts for them to televise, 110 hours more of TV, of darts TV they can expect as well, and all of this transpires to a hell of a lot more darts as well. The PDC World Championship has grown in spades since its inception, and now this is a real thing where they're really going to put the name on a World Championship. Many purists, many people who like to have a prediction of what's going to happen down the years reckon in less than 10 years the PDC World Champion will walk away with the cool £1 million in prize money. He's halfway there at the moment, so we'll see what happens going forward as well. There has been darts action to talk about as well. Let's talk about the World Cup of Darts, where it's not double Dutch, I'm afraid. It's a 4th one now for Michael van Gerwen and Raymond van Barneveld. They record equaling 4th title they claimed for the Netherlands at the PDC World Cup of Darts as well in Germany. All sorts of things to talk about as well. It came down to probably who you'd expected in the final, the Netherlands against Scotland. So that's Michael van Gerwen and RVB against Gary Anderson and Peter Wright. Again, an excellent final. Scotland, maybe the slight underdogs for that one, despite the quality they have in their own ranks. But it was the Netherlands 3, Scotland 1. So that was the Netherlands, the World Cup winners for this year. And a World Cup year for the first time in a while as well. And a World Cup football year, I might say as well. The semi-finals saw Australia. Australia had a spirited challenge to the semis. Scotland saw them off 2-1 in the semis. And Belgium were the victims when the Netherlands beat them 2-0. And Belgium accounted for England as well in the quarter-final stage, 2-1 as well. So, good World Cup this year. Some real good surprises. And, you know, the stand-up was pretty good as well. It's always something a bit different, isn't it? Double stars. The World Cup, not for everyone, but it does have its moments. And it certainly had its moments this year as well. Let's talk about the BDO World Trophy. Let's move on from this and talk about the BDO World Trophy. One of the big 4 for the BDO, and it was a big one for Glenn Durant, wasn't it? The BDO World Champion became the first man to claim all of those world competitions that the BDO offer. The World Trophy, the World Masters, the World Championship. Like I said, now it's the World Trophy, and Glenn Durant, as it stands, is the only man to have done that as well. He beat Michael Unterbugner 10-7 in the final. Unterbugner, as we remember, at Lakeside had a great World Championship, and now he's reached his first BDO ranking final. He accounted for the title holder, the World Trophy title holder, Peter Machin, along the way, but he couldn't quite live with Duzzy. He gave it a good go at 10-7, but ultimately it was Duzzy who got over the line. And when, like I said in last week's roundup as well, when Duzzy's spitting fire in, there are a few that can live with him as well. The new ladies champion is Fallon Sherrick. She beat Lorraine Winstanley 6-3 as well. Fallon's she's had some things to contend with over the past few years, but she's a very talented young darts player, always been a bright prospect, and for her to win the World Trophy ladies title, she'll be absolutely delighted about that, I'm sure, as well. Swiss Open for the BDO guys this weekend. The PDC are heading to Gibraltar for their Gibraltar Darts Trophy, so when we come back here next Monday, we'll have plenty more darts for you to talk about. As always, every week with myself here on Tungsten Tales for our Round the Board Darts Bulletin. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us. We look forward to seeing you again in the future.